And it seems that finally I can go live this evening. Finally. After 100 years of technical difficulties and glitches, which might describe my life, but nope, OBS broke, then Reaper broke, then I had to reinstall everything and start from scratch, because who knew that being a professional IT technician would come in hand for streaming and video and audio production? I never thought I'd see the day, or I don't know. What am I supposed to say there? Either way, this is the not Dave Grohl show, where you know what we do here, but tonight, because it's a Monday, I am just streaming for a little bit. Just to stream for a little bit. So, what did I do over the weekend? Well, Friday morning I got in my car and I drove about 8 hours north to a little city called Atlanta, where I went and caught up with an old roommate, made friends with a dog, went to a really cool show, and oh yeah, met my biggest idol of all time for only about 3 seconds, but I did pick up some merch. Here is my Crosses hoodie. I picked this pretty little thing up, and if you'll see here, am I going to be able to get it focused on camera? You can see through the glare, almost. Is there just too much light? Oh, when the light hits it just right, you can barely see Chino Marino's signature, because he was kind enough to sign it for me. Why is my camera stuttering so badly this evening? Is it because I'm trying to see something? This is an impromptu stream, so if everything goes wrong, I don't really care. Because tomorrow night we're going to get back to our normally scheduled program of writing and mixing and production and all of that stuff. And so far we have 3 viewers. I will go back over all this stuff here in a moment. But for now, manage 3D settings. High performance. I'm betting that my laptop is running really hot, which is why it appears to be stuttering to me. It may not be to you, but as you could tell, I am really tired. I literally got in the car at about 6:30 this morning and drove all the way back to Florida, walked into my house, and proceeded to walk straight into my bedroom and collapse on my bed, where I passed out for a solid 2 hours before waking up and going to the store to get something for dinner. This stuttering is really getting on my nerves. I know right now it is because it is really freaking hot in this room. So there's too much equipment running. We're going to try to arrange a few things a little bit differently here, because I get the feeling that my cooling pad is not getting enough power to actually run. So we are going to fix this really fast and Pray that it actually turns on, because I really need it to start cooling my laptop here. Stand by. There we go. We're actually getting some RPMs out of this, so maybe it'll stabilize a little bit. I don't know. Either way, we are generating way too much heat. Welcome, one and all. We're going to start over again. Now that I see some people have joined the chat, and there are some people watching the video, this is the Not Dave Grohl show, because I'm not Dave Grohl. And I'm using his name, hoping for a trademark infringement suit that ensues into a lot of followers and subscribers and ad revenue, which would be really nice right about now. All kidding aside, though, this weekend, just to recap, Friday night, obviously I did not stream, and I did not stream because I decided to get in my car and go drive to Atlanta to go see a band called Crosses, who is primarily Chino Marino and Sean Lopez. I saw them at the Eastern on Saturday night, which is a cool little spot in downtown. It's actually a very cool downtown spot. It looks fairly revamped, fairly new. Went in, saw a cool show. The place is about the size, for those of you in Florida who have been to the House of Blues, it's about the same size as that, a little bit more open. Definitely a lot better lit, and definitely has a much more, I don't know, metro vibe to it. But in the process, I got to stay with an old roommate of mine from like 100 years ago, because I'm fucking ancient. And I got to make friends with a new dog because I like them better than people. I got to catch up with his daughter, who is now 13, who is turning into quite the talented composer. Somebody who, her sense of melody is just off the charts for somebody who's only been at it for 2 years. I helped her tech her guitar so that it would play better, and she gave me this, which is one of 4 bracelets I wore to the show that night. They were fun conversation starters. But one of the cool things I found out while I was standing outside stalking Chino Marino with about 130 other people, I actually ran into quite a few people who came up from here to see this show, and that was kind of a cool experience. Ended up meeting a brother and sister that are from Winter Garden that go to shows all the time, so I invited them out to one of our future shows when we get to playing them, hopefully sometime later this year. And ended up meeting a girl from St. Augustine who also did the same thing that we did, which was really cool. But most importantly, I am going to disable the blur on my camera really quick, because when I showed this a few minutes ago, we're going to turn the filter off. There we go. It was obscuring what I was trying to show everybody, but along with the hoodie, which I obviously bought at the show, I also bought their new record, which is called Good Night, God Bless, I Love You, Delete. And if you can see right there, that golden signature, it's not quite golden because I'm using a blue filter still, is Chino Marino's signature. I got to meet him for the better part of 3 seconds, which was not the opportunity to have the deep musical philosophical conversation that I wanted to have with him, but hey, at least I got to meet him, and he was really nice. But you know, there were hundreds of us stalking his tour bus, so yeah, he had a lot of people's stuff to sign. I also got to meet Sean Lopez very briefly. He was a very, very cool fellow, but you know, they played an hour and a half set and they were tired. They didn't have to come out and talk to us, but they did anyways. I also got to meet the DJ that opened the set. He was a really cool guy. His stage name is Crook One. He put on a very cool set. I also bought his cassette. That's right. I bought a tape. And I also bought his T-shirt, and I got to talk to him for a little bit. And I also got to talk to Cross's sound guy, who made it very easy for me because he was wearing a Killing Joke T-shirt. So all I had to do was walk up. I was like, dude, cool T-shirt. And, that was pretty much the beginning of the end. Turning the blur back on because I like that better. But regardless, I ended up having a lot of fun. Casey Lovables, what's up, Holmes? Hey, what's up, dude? Christina, and then you tell Dave Grohl he must meet me and hang out for an evening. Well, if he shows up to my house and does my podcast, I will definitely throw a party for that, of which you are invited. Jack Connor says Dave Grohl is going to be starting the Not Chris Stone show one of these days. One could only hope, Jack. That would be absolutely amazing. I would love to be famous enough that Dave Grohl has to use me. But yeah. So, anyways, I did not buy the gold version of this, but it does come with this really. I have to go back and disable this blur again. There we go. It does come with this very, very cool poster right here and lyric sheet. It is a double LP at 33 1/3, unlike their EP, which was a 12-inch 45 RPM. But the vinyl itself, quite transparent and quite silver. They did have a gold version for $25 more, but and maybe I should have bought it in hindsight, but I don't know. I am just happy to have a copy of the record at all. I have not listened to it yet, though I have streamed the album many, many times, and for those of you that follow me on Facebook, knows that it tied for Album of the Year. It was the first time I've ever given a tie to anything with Sleep Tokens, Take Me Back to Eden, which I still do not own yet, because I have a lot of vinyl that I need to buy. As if I already don't have too many to begin with. But that's what makes my house cool and yours not. So, did I get into any other shenanigans or anything crazy? Not really. Went to the show, talked to a bunch of people, had a shot of whiskey, a couple bottles of water, listened to some amazing music. To which you can feel free to go through my Facebook and my Instagram and look at pictures from the show. I still have a bunch of video I have not uploaded yet. I have not even gone through yet. I pretty much maxed out my camera's memory taking video for that show. But I had a lot of fun. Dang, I feel uncultured. I had to Google who was Dave Grohl. You're joking, right? You're totally joking. I mean, I heard Dave Grohl does a great Swedish chef impression. Now I need to hear yours. No. I don't have a Swedish chef impression. That is actually really hard to say. It is making me lisp a little bit. But there will be no chef impersonations for me, at least not this evening. I am quite tired. I mean, come on, look at me. Do I look like somebody who has barely slept today? The correct answer to that question is yes. But I did get to catch up with my old roommate and another friend of mine that I've not seen in 12 years, because apparently when everybody was leaving the state of Virginia and moving to places far cooler than Roanoke City. Shout out to all my Roanoke people who still live there and still love it. I question your taste, but we'll forgive you and love you anyways. Yeah, They apparently everybody that I know and love moved to Atlanta. Some people that I simply like, but that I did not get to run into. But I overshot and I moved to Central Florida instead. Perhaps I should have moved to Atlanta. And actually, after hanging out there for a couple of days, it would not have been a bad choice. I actually really, really enjoyed driving around there. There's a lot of really cool places to be had in the Atlantean area of the world. I am now enlightened. Casey, yes, you are now enlightened. But I mean, in all fairness, that, not saying you don't know who Dave Grohl is kind of like saying you've never heard of the Wu-Tang Clan, or Cypress Hill, or 311, or The Offspring, or Nirvana, which Dave Grohl was the drummer for, or the Foo Fighters, who Dave Grohl is the frontman for. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm done messing with you. I'm totally done messing with you. But yes, I made friends with a 10-year-old black lab who still plays like he is a puppy. That was the best part of the whole experience, not gonna lie. I love dogs. I love dogs more than I love people, because dogs are honest and people just aren't. But yes, he very quickly became my buddy. There are pictures of me playing tug of war on both my Facebook and my Instagram. Feel free to check them out. But yeah, I had a great time. I had some revelations. It felt good to take an impromptu road trip that was just for me, and just for me to get out and do something that was out of the ordinary for me. And that's pretty hard for me to do, because I already have the fortune and the privilege of living a fairly extraordinary life where I get to hang around cool musicians all the time, and I'm constantly going to cool shows and meeting cool people. But I finally got to meet Chino Marino. I wish I could have gotten a picture with him so that I could put him side by side with my picture that Shyler Kroom from He Is Legend was kind enough to take with me. Actually, one of the conversations I got into, because one of the first people I saw as I was going into the door at the Eastern to see Crosses play, there was a husband and a woman, wife kind of person standing with him, and she was wearing a He Is Legend t-shirt. And of course, I had to have a conversation with them, because Shyler Kroom and He Is Legend are absolutely awesome. I never get tired of singing their very high praises. But, well, I heard of the bands, just not the members. It's okay. We forgive you. We forgive you. We forgive you. But, yeah, getting out there and floating around a city that, other than, I think, I have driven to certain parts of Atlanta, mostly for work. I've definitely flown in and out of Atlanta several times. I got grounded in Atlanta due to a tornado while my plane was in the air. That was a very unpleasant experience, in which case I had to rent a car to drive from there back to Virginia, which, strangely enough, it's about as far from Atlanta to Roanoke as it is from Atlanta to where I live now. It is about an 8-hour drive in either direction. So I can now say that I have driven that expanse of the western side of the eastern seaboard, if that makes any sense at all. But random piano key, because I felt like it. But floating around there and getting to meet a bunch of new people, strangely enough, more Floridians than I thought I was going to run into. I did end up meeting a lot of really cool people, especially after the show, while we were all standing at the gate right in front of Chino and Sean's tour bus. That was probably the most fun of the night. got to witness a car accident because two drunk people weren't watching what they were doing, and they drove straight into each other trying to exit a parking lot. Which made me thankful that I decided to stand there and hope that I would get a chance to meet Chino, because traffic was really bad getting out of the venue, and I just didn't feel like dealing with that. So I was like, all right, well, if I'm going to stand around, I'm going to do something useful with my time. But kind of felt nice to just do something random and wild, which I do random and wild all the time, but not quite to this extreme. I think I'm going to do it more. I think there are a lot of cool places nearby that are not places I would normally go to, that I am going to be brave, and I'm going to start checking these places out a lot more, because I will tell you what, I've always liked traveling quite a bit. For those of you that don't know, I drove all the way from Central Florida all the way up into the middle of Toronto a couple of years ago just because I wanted to. There really was no purpose behind it other than I had a summer available to me and nothing better to do. And while this was probably nowhere near extreme, at least on the driving front, it was still quite a bit of fun, and I want to do it again as soon as possible. So I will be looking for other excuses to go drive to random cities I've never been to before to go see bands that I've always wanted to see. But what do we got in store this week? I will be streaming again tomorrow night. We will get back to business as usual, where I spent some time listening to the song that I've been working to on stream, or the interlude piece that I've been writing. And I am going to make some recording-wise changes to it, because there's a few things I don't feel quite happy with. I started to do kind of a light mix on it, and there is just some issues with some of the melodies that I wrote where they just clash, and while I could probably fix that while ducking the two separate parts while I was driving, I kind of thought, why not just combine the two? So we're going to experiment tomorrow. Still got the Derek Serenian piece that I need to mix. I really need to sit down and work on that. I just haven't felt like it. But I will probably be doing that off camera, because once again, it's really hard for me to talk to you guys and mix with these on, because I much prefer my studio monitors for the mixing process. Once I get through panning and all of that, I mean, cans are great for making sure that everything is pointing in the direction you want it to, but not quite as great for balancing audio, especially, because most people are going to be listening to it in their car, on their phones, and stuff like that. So I much prefer simulating an environment where there are open speakers, because you just get better balanced audio, or at least I do. Maybe other people do it different. I don't know. But then again, I spend a lot of time picking apart people's mixes and finding things I don't like about them and things that I would do differently. But that's as it should be, because most of mixing it's like 30% science, 70% artistic decisions. I really can't speak because I'm really just, it's time for bed. Like, I'm kind of there at this point. But either way, it's good to be home for now, until I figure out what the next big adventure is going to be, which is going to get planned out very soon. For those of you that don't know, I do have a big grandiose international travel thing planned, but that is not until next spring. I am going to bite the bullet, and I'm going to go live my childhood dream, and I'm going to go spend a week in Japan, because I want to. No other reason. I might get killed by the Yakuza. I might get strung out on drugs and end up in a pachinko hall permanently. I could end up studying karate on an Okinawan beach, which Okinawa is technically not a part of Japan. They have their, even though they are a part of Japan. But it's there, so Don't know how much of it I'm going to get to see in a week, but I'm going to try my best to at least get around Tokyo, maybe. I don't know. I still haven't figured out my destination there. But in the meantime, we will be doing a Tuesday and a Friday night stream unless something crazy comes up and I get invited to something, which, let's face it, that tends to happen a lot. And it tends to happen on Friday night. As a matter of fact, I've been thinking about moving the Friday night stream to Sunday because I tend to have nothing to do on Sundays. But I don't know that I'm going to do that yet. It is just going to depend on how frequently I'm getting invited to things on Friday night. Is there anything else I want to discuss before I let you people go? They got Sailor Moon and Monster Hunter. Yes, they do. They definitely have those two things. They also have giant Gundams and Evangelions, and they have Chrono Trigger. You know, for those of you Squaresoft people like me. Speaking of which, be expecting streams of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth from me. And fair warning in advance, from what Yoshinori Kitase and company over at Square Enix have said, they are not blocking any part of that game. So watch at your own risk if you plan on playing it for yourself. Because I will be playing it. And I have no intentions of censoring any part of the story at all. Not that I could easily do that, but if you're planning on playing it for yourself, you may not want to watch my stream. Because I will be streaming it until I beat it. I will not be doing what I did with Final Fantasy VII Remake, where I pretty much took 4 days off and beat it in 3.5 days. It was just me, my dogs, and pizza. And pretty much I would wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning and I would stream it until I was so tired that I needed to go to bed. Which, with Rebirth, I'm not going to do that because, number one, this game is supposedly twice the size of that. And secondly, my ADHD gets the better of me. It is really hard for me to sit in front of a TV these days. It is really, really, really hard for me to sit down and play Tetris so much as, an 80-hour-long RPG. But I am very much looking forward to getting back with Cloud and Company and seeing what they did with this installment. So far, the reviews have said that this game has been everything that they wish Final Fantasy VII Remake could have been, and I don't know. I really loved remakes, so I'm really looking forward to Rebirth. It should start downloading on my PS5 tomorrow so that it is ready for its Wednesday morning launch. And I might stay up tomorrow night just so I can play a couple of hours of it. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, boy. Wow, I've got a pretty steady stream of viewers tonight. This is kind of awesome. You guys seem to like me talking more than you like watching me do production stuff. Let me know in the comments what you're enjoying more, because maybe I will dedicate more time to talking and less time to working. But either way, I got to get back to my regular schedule. I've not worked out in several days, and it's killing me. My dopamine and serotonin are plummeting. So as soon as I get up tomorrow, there is going to be some kind of weightlifting. There's going to be some kind of running. And I'm going to get back on my 6-day-a-week schedule. But let's see. We've been going for about 30 minutes at this point. Is there anything else that I would like to talk about that is coming up that I think would be worth discussing with you guys? I'm still kind of processing my takeaways. I did kind of have a philosophical moment when I was sitting on the back porch of my old roommate's house in Atlanta, and kind of reminding myself that um, it is 100% okay to go against the grain and do what you want to do, even if you do it alone. I guess that was really the big takeaway, and I kind of had a whole moment where, I played devil's advocate, and I was kind of sorting through some things that was quite enlightening. And it kind of gives credence to the stream I did last week where I kind of talked briefly about where I want to go and what I want to do going forward and how I am going to do it. Okay, Angel, you'll have to call me after stream and tell me, because I really could not interpret what was going on there, and I really want to know what was going on there. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that totally makes sense. And thank you for sending that in DM so that it's not ending up in the comments, even though I did that very publicly. That makes a lot of sense now. I had no idea what that gift meant, and I could not find anything that searched that out. But okay, so yeah, like the big takeaways from this trip is that generally I think I have the right idea. Like I need to move more in my own direction and focus my energy in directions that I think are appropriate to my life, regardless of what other people think. Not that I ever really cared to begin with, but my big thing is that, me being where I'm at in my life, I kind of feel responsible to give myself the experience that I feel I deserve and to live life on the terms that I want to live them, regardless of what other people think of what I'm doing, regardless of whether or not that is not seen keenly by others or other social circles that I am a part of. And that was kind of the big takeaway for me. Like, it's okay to not do what the crowd wants you to do and just go out and do your own thing. Not that I didn't know that already, by the way, in case anybody was wondering. I think everybody who knows me really, really well. Yes, Jack, it was an amazing time. I wish I could have had my brothers there with me, but it was very impromptu. You and Rambo would have loved it. But getting back to it, like that's kind of the big thing. Like I have a responsibility to myself to live the life that I want to live and live it on the terms that I want to live it. Whatever that may be. And that is always subject to change because, let's face facts. It's my life. So I get to do what I want when I want. And so long as I am not harming others, and the only thing that might happen to me is that there are people who see that the decisions that I'm making as off-putting or distasteful, or even as going against the grain or not supporting the group, or, if that's the worst that happens, then people can be butthurt about it. Who cares? At the end of the day, as long as I am going out and I am having enriching experiences that give meaning to my life, and things that I find valuable, then maybe I am making the right decision and kind of going back to being more of a vagabond and more of a nomad in doing the things that I want to do. Of course, that does not mean that I am giving up on anything musical. or any of the bands that I am in, all 7 of them now. Might need to thin that out of here. But you know, like, seriously, who cares? As long as I make it to where I want to be and I do it on honest, integral, or do so with honesty and integrity, then who cares if other people don't like it? Like, I owe it to myself to do that. And to some extent, you know, I do owe it to other people as well. Because one of the things that I thought a lot about was I have an honorary older brother whose name is Adam, who is no longer with us. And I pretty much met him, I want to say at 22, 23 years old. And, you know, he became the older brother I never had. In a lot of ways, he became a parental figure that I never had. And he taught me a lot about life. In some cases, how to live it, and in other cases, how not to live it. And we'll just leave it there. But Adam was a great human being. And towards the end, we had a pretty serious falling out. Primarily because I made a judgment call that was not in my best interest. And we never got to reconcile. Because unfortunately he died from a heart attack, maybe about 7 months after that happened. Didn't get to say goodbye, never got to apologize, never got to make things right. So I've, in a lot of ways, the ways that I've been living have been a posthumous tip to his hat and his philosophy on some things. Some places I still very, very harshly disagree with his opinions on things. But generally, you know, living life for yourself and for your own enrichment and for your own enjoyment and developing your skill sets and your talents and all of that stuff was a very, very huge part of his philosophy. And those were things that I did very much agree with and very much did not adhere to. Well, I wouldn't say not adhere to. Quite a few times I did do things, especially professionally, that were in my best interest. But personally, I could have left my marriage a lot sooner. I could have. I didn't. But I could have. And because of the severity of the actions of the other party and my choice to go back to that, I never got to make things right with him. And it kind of made me realize that, you know, I always played the role of little brother with him. There was a whole lot of give, primarily to me, and not a whole lot of me ever really giving back to him. So it was definitely, you know, there was that mentor-student thing where, you know, it was always being passed down, and I was absorbing it, but never really growing into it and realizing, like, the core thing is that eventually you become the teacher, you become, you know, you're supposed to be growing beside the people that are helping you get there. And you're supposed to become their equal at some point in time, which means that the relationship has to become reciprocal. And we never got to that. I was always a selfish brat little brother. And I had a relationship like that very recently, where I found myself giving a lot to, and then just realizing that the growth just wasn't going to be there, no matter what I did. I've been doing lives for a long time, Crystal. Where the hell have you been? But either way, it was kind of the, you know, I kind of found myself in the same trap that he was in. But, you know, I guess the thing about Adam was that Adam. He was a bit of a drinker, and by a bit of a drinker, I mean he was really bad off, and it cost him his life. And a lot of what I have been doing is giving back to that connection as much as I possibly can, growing as much as I possibly can, trying to become the person that he saw in me that I was not. I mean, maybe in some ways I wasn't ready for it, and maybe in other ways I was just being a spoiled little brat. Because you can be that in this life. You can be a spoiled little brat. But, I kind of got to thinking about it, and I'm like, he died in summer of 2019. Here we are in 2024. Would he be proud of the steps I made? Would he be looking at me and being like, good job, dude? Like, finally you're getting it. Like, finally you're doing the things you always should have been doing and were not doing. And I'm thinking yes. I'm thinking I have a lot further that I need to take it. But I'm thinking yes. Yes, but keep going. And I think it took having a relationship similar to that with another human being, where it was kind of more of something I recognized over the weekend than something while it was going on. Kind of that same thing where it was like, you're supposed to be using this to raise yourself up, So I did have that philosophical debate in my head, while petting a really cool dog, and then later playing tug of war with him. And that might have actually been the best part of the whole trip, was that moment where I had time to sit and think about that and do it in a place that was outside of my element. Maybe that made it easier for those thoughts and those feelings to flow. And maybe I need to do more of that, because these big philosophical revelations for me tend to happen when I'm not here. So maybe it is time to spend more time out there and living life out in that space, so that I can become the person that I am starting to see that I am actually capable of becoming. Not just musically, not just professionally, but personally as well. So if anybody was looking for a lesson in all of this, not that any of you were looking for anything when you came in here other than to watch me ramble like an idiot for however long. Yeah, that's what I got from that. That was the big takeaway. I'm doing good, but I need to go further, and I need to do it harder. And I don't know about faster. Faster can lead to consequences that you're not prepared for. That's the other big thing. Like, I always had a problem. Always only thinking about 3 seconds in front of my face. I've always had incredible reactive judgment, never a really good proactive judgment. So maybe doing things slower, but with more force is the way to do it. Don't know. Still thinking about things. When you give Christina Black says, when you give yourself time to really see the world around you, you really see things. Yeah, I can see the wisdom in that. Yeah, I agree with that. I love you too, Crystal. Just do it wiser. Yeah, do it wiser. That's a good way to sum it up, I think. But I think that I might be able to do this in such a way that it doesn't take away from my core focus, which is obviously, listen to that reverb. Let's try that with a sustain pedal. Let's try that again with a sustain pedal. Wait for it. That was not the right note. I was looking for the E flat, and I played the E instead. That ended up being quite sour. Proof that I need to spend more time in front of a keyboard practicing. That sounded okay until I screwed it up. Not that you guys would never know that, because I've never played that on camera before. So I could have just went with it and pretended like I knew what I was doing, but hey, lesson learned. But and Crystal says, and some things also come from age. We grow stronger as we age. I have definitely grown stronger, but well, I would not say that I have aged in any significant regard. Sounded good to me. Thank you, Jack. I really appreciate that. But anyways, I'm going to go listen to a record, and then I'm going to go to sleep. I'll be back tomorrow night doing actual music things. And maybe some talking, because it actually does seem like you guys like it when I just kind of sit here and ramble. The viewership is a lot stronger, and then I start working on things, and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm bored. See ya." So maybe I can strike some sort of a balance between that, because I guess you guys find that entertaining, but I am here to educate as well. So I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go along. I'm having fun doing this. But anyways, this is the end of the impromptu Welcome Back from Atlanta live stream of the Not Dave Grohl Show. Do me a favor, if you have not already, click follow, subscribe, click those like buttons, twist knobs, pull levers, in the words of Invader Zim. Twist those knobs. Pull some levers. Do all the things to make my stuff the like, and so that it gets circulated to other people. Not that I necessarily care about the viewership, but it would be nice. And thank you for joining me, for everyone who came in here tonight. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys tomorrow night. Good night.